she has a consulting firm called Immerse Consulting, where she's basically providing advisory and consulting services to all the retailers in the Middle East. She also has a great podcast, so if you didn't have time to listen into it, please do it. It's called Commerce Talks. But please, I'm not gonna get into more details, just to not spoil any other details. I will give the word to you. So please, Mo, if you want to introduce yourself a bit. Sorry, I forgot to present myself. So I'm Damien. I'm the CEO for Instalib Europe. I'm leading the company in the EMEA region, so Europe, Middle East, and Asia. We've been 2.5 years building SaaS in this side of the world. And yeah, this is basically what I do. So please, Mo, if you want to introduce yourself, it would be great.
Thank you, Damien. Thank you for the opportunity. Lina, it is a pleasure to have you on the webinar today. Just from my end, my name is Mohammed Adam. As Damien mentioned, I am the Enterprise Account Executive for EMEA. As of now, we are currently trying to build in the GCC region. We've been in this industry, in the market for the last 2.5 years, speaking to the likes of, the biggest retailers, biggest grocery stores in the market itself. And the idea is obviously to, get everyone to the most optimal manner in terms of e-commerce, in terms of last mile delivery. I'll hand over to Lina to introduce herself, and we can continue.
Hello, everyone. So good afternoon for anyone who is in the Middle East, and I don't know, good morning for anyone that is, I guess, the other side of the world. I'm Lina. I have 20 years plus of e-commerce experience. I swear I'm not that old. I just started very young. I'm a founder, as mentioned, of Immerse Consulting. What we do, we help with everything to do with e-commerce for retailers, brands, distributors, startups. So I am behind most of the e-commerce in the region and across the GCC, so UAE, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Qatar, Oman. So for those of you that are here from the Middle East and you hate online shopping, blame me. I am the person to blame that. Also always happy to hear the feedback, because as Damien mentioned, I work with most of these guys, so happy to pass on the feedback. Happy to give you discount codes, when you need a discount code. Also, I'm a co-founder of numerous other e-commerce D2C brands, and that we can talk more about that. So I'm not just consult. I have my own skin in the game, and like yourselves, every single day, discuss what's the return, why meta increase, what's not working. So really can relate to most of you. Also, I have a podcast called Commerce Talks, where we interview big retail brands from the region. So a lot of the people from outside this region say to me, that's the only source of information, because it is very hard to find online. I have a book which is called Winning in the Platform Economy in the Middle East. So again, if you are trying to win against Temu, Shein, any marketplace, there's a lot of information in that book. I always say, whether you hate or love that book, it's the only book. So again, after a podcast, feel free to drop it. I didn't, it is on Amazon, but happy to send you a copy. It wasn't written to make money. It was more to really educate and share, and to make sure that we are, we kind of like together all build this ecosystem. And finally, I'm a mother and still launching my other outside of my existing businesses. This year I'm launching, which has already happened, like the biggest, probably Middle East-based e-commerce academy to educate people or brands or startups that cannot necessarily afford the consulting. Because, I'm a big believer of, the big guys can afford my retainer, but the small ones cannot. So what can we do about it? And I'm going to launch this academy to kind of really share it. So kind of a lot of others can afford and learn not just what is a platform, but actually how to generate and I think that's why we're here today, how to generate that acquisition in the first place. But most importantly, how do you retain the customer in a really competitive environment? And it's not going to get easier with China and everyone coming after your traffic. it's not going to get easier. So the company is going to be called Ecom Wave. And again, if you follow me on LinkedIn, you will hear all about it. So that's me. Sorry, it's a lot of different segments, but I feel like you should understand, so maybe one advice I give you, you will not feel like, oh, she doesn't know what she's talking about. I've been where you are today. I am living that. And sometimes I write about it. Sometimes I talk about it. And thank you guys for inviting me on the seminar.
No worries. It's a real pleasure to have you here, guys. So as you have seen, we have the room, plenty of experience within the region. So yeah, before we get started and we start discussing about the topics we have, so we are gathering all the questions in the chat. So if please you have any question during the conversation, please write it there. At the end of the webinar, we will have some time to go through them. And we will let myself and Lina to give the answers. So let's go into it. Before going into the topics as well, I would love to introduce a bit about InstaLeap in just 30 seconds, because you have seen the name of the company in the invite and also the one that is hosting the webinar. So basically, in InstaLeap, what we are doing is we are a software as a service platform. So we are providing SaaS services to the retailers around the world. We are a Colombian company based in Bogotá. We have headquarters as well in Barcelona, where I am working from, in Ukraine, and also in Dubai. And basically, depending on on our customer needs, we are providing different pieces of software as a module to solve different pain points that they can face during the e-commerce chain. We are super focused on on-time deliveries, peaking efficiency, and having access to more demand generation channels, not only e-commerce, but also marketplaces. And today we are present in more than 20 countries, more than 80 retailers, and growing super fast. So now that we know what is InstaLeap and what we are doing, let's go into the topic, if it sounds good to you. The first topic, Lina and Mo, that I would love to talk about is, in order to set up a bit the context within the Middle East, because maybe some of the people that is joining today, they are from there, but some others, they are from around the world. Let's talk a bit about the main challenges and opportunities that we are facing within the region as a retailer and as a user. I would love to hear from you. What's the context that we are facing in terms of online grocery shopping within the region, taking into account user penetration and also different levels of maturity that we're having in different countries? First of all, as a retailer, and then as a user, what are the behaviors and expectations we could find in terms of users within the Middle Eastern market? Lina, if you want to start with.
Yeah. So maybe just to give a context a bit, Middle East, it's like EU. We are all friends on one side, but we are all very, very different as countries, right? Yes, we speak Arabic, but we have very, very different dialects, in Arabic and all. So first concept, when you think Middle East, think volume from Saudi Arabia, okay? Your ultimate goal is always, how do I get Saudi? Now, you start in the UAE. So we will start tackling in this sense, from the retailer's perspective. We are a country as UAE, same Saudi, that love discounting 365 days a year, okay? It's not, if you think in Europe, London, Barcelona, Paris, you have these critical events on the discounts. Here, we have discounting 365 days a year. So the first challenge of the retailers is always, how do I maintain the sort of expected discounting and at the same time make profit, okay? The second point of mine is that we are profit driven. So anything, whether you are a brand trying to enter this region and sell to big players and put your product on the shelves, whether you are a brand that wants to open D2C platform in the region, whether you are a brand that wants to sell on marketplaces like Amazon, anything you do, you need to expect that everyone else will ask quite a big percentage of the margin, because if they are here, they are profit driven. So the challenge sometimes, the second challenge, that retailers face is discounting is one, but second is that how do we offer every single brand possible when the brand itself, a manufacturer or distributor, cannot afford such a margin to give it to a retailer? So that's also like a quite unique, because in the, let's say, Western world, you can kind of work together, and because competition, let's say, in EU is a lot lower than the Middle East, because like EU, you need to go through a lot of things to get onto the, let's say, Tesco's in the UK or Carrefour's France shelf. In the Middle East, you need to remember, it's East meets West. Anything you bring is not going to be a surprise. We already have it, okay? And, we have it either from Asia or we have it from America, but we have it. So any product, any of that. So the demand from retailer, that if a retailer in the Western world would say, I want, let's say, this product because it's going big in America, but no one else in Europe is doing it. In the Middle East, that product already exists, or a copy of that product already exists, okay? So then again, so retailer would never sponsor your entry. So you need to figure it out how you give a big margin to the retailer because they need it, because they're profit driven. At the same time, you don't kill yourself as a business. Then the third, I can go on these challenges for the whole day, but the third very unique, I would say. So for those of you that don't know, I'm Lithuanian. I spent, it's a very small European country, but I'm educated in the UK and had a very big career in Deloitte Consulting in London. So I am behind a lot of global e-commerce brands, not just Middle East. That's how this whole thing started in the Middle East, because I actually brought 12 years of successful e-com rollouts globally, right? So from Tesco's to John Lewis to Carrefour's globally. So what I can compare it is that over here, if anywhere else in the world, consumer would forgive you, here you have one shot. So retailers struggling with how to deliver, not same day, how to deliver within 60 minutes. All right. It's the expectation is no longer, oh, I'm in America, I wait 4 days because Amazon will ship me across here, you don't deliver same day, forget it. So imagine, I want a discount, I want same day delivery, and I want you to offer me everything online possible. If you don't, there is a shop downstairs that the guy would deliver exactly what I want through WhatsApp. Okay, so imagine the consumer, you get super spoiled. I as a European, I don't think so I could ever live in Europe, and I joke about it because I don't know, I can fit, and it makes you really, really spoiled. So this is the challenges, that we face from the retailers, distributors standpoint. And, this is not even talking marketing, the competition and all of this. This is, I would say, more unique to this region, that if you are trying to enter it, you would need to embrace it from day zero. I don't know, Mo, you would like to elaborate more?
Yes, please, Mo, if you have something to say.
Yeah, so I echo Lina's sentiments based on what she said. Everything that you can think about trying to bring in maybe from a different part of the world, it already exists here in the Middle East. But if we talk about more from a cultural perspective, I think, those of us who have been fortunate enough to live in the Middle East, we've sort of become spoiled in a way where anything that we want to get, we can get it at any time throughout the day, whether it's 12 o'clock at night, whether it's 2 o'clock in the morning, be it your groceries, be it your food, everything is available at any time. And that's something that, doesn't always exist in other parts of the world. So I think from an e-commerce perspective, you have to look at the challenges that come up with that, how many resources are available, can we actually meet the demand, the capacity of our customers and their needs.
Cool. It shocks me a bit, no, when I was hearing you guys and when Lina said, no, the user expectations in the market are super high, no? So they have everything they want with super attractive discounts, whatever time of the day, with super high operational standards and delivery times, no? So it's a region that they have been working on e-commerce for a long time, but other parts of the world, no, like the US, for example, or other countries in Europe, they have been working on e-commerce even longer, and they don't have those standards, no. So this is something that it's shocking me a bit, no. They are younger in terms of e-commerce in most of those countries, but they are getting into digital with super high standards, no. This is something like super shocking, that whenever that you tackle this kind of region, there's a myth of, okay, maybe these guys still need to learn a lot about e-commerce, but they already know it. And you need to be faster than in other regions, maybe, to become a relevant partner for them. That's more or less the takeout that I'm taking from this. So linking this with the retention topic, Lina. So now that we know that the user standards are super high, in terms of building the retention from the beginning, which is probably the loyalty part of the story, what are the main strategies that those retailers that are getting into digital or that have been working in e-commerce for a long time in the region are using? What are the more successful ones? You said discounts, which is something that is clear for us. It's 365 days of discounts and attractive prices. This is something very important, but there's something else that we need to highlight that is different from other parts of the world in terms of loyalty?
Okay, so the key thing, I would say developed countries and developing, because it's relevant to Middle East, but I'm sure in South America, it's also very important. Here, WhatsApp commerce, like WhatsApp marketing, is the starting point. And if you think, oh no, we have GDPR compliance in Europe and this, forget all of that. If you can't figure it out, so retention, think WhatsApp marketing. Forget all that. Technology doesn't work. I don't know the solution. I don't have a customer. You can find 1,000 excuses. But till you figure it out, WhatsApp marketing, don't enter this region, okay? The only way to engage consumer for the second, third, fourth, 100th order is through WhatsApp. Not WhatsApp as people, but what proper WhatsApp marketing, suite, the tools and so on and so forth. So that is what really, really Europe, and I consult a lot of European brands every single day, to be honest. We are in Europe so behind that we are behind even on the tech. Like even tech is not, no one is really like SaaS solutions. No one is really pushing the message. So most of the brands that you would say like trying to enter here, even if they're planning to sell in stores, for them this whole WhatsApp is still like, for me, I don't know, learning to dance ballet. But that's a must. And that's a key driver at the moment behind retention. And we can elaborate more, throughout this webinar. Number one. Number two, it's not hard, okay? And we can talk about acquisition element. Meta, Google, Snapchat, TikTok ads really do work in this region, okay? One thing you need to know, it's the most, like Saudi Arabia, it's the most expensive cost per click globally. Meta makes the most amount of money per each click from Saudi, okay? UAE is second or third place, Kuwait is I think second. What I'm trying to say that overall, Middle East is probably one of the most expensive regions when it comes to the auction. You cannot change that. I'm not even talking about you're not happy with your agency, you're not happy with your creatives. If things don't work for you in London or Paris or Bogota or US, that's a separate topic. But even if it works where you are now, expect here to work, but at a lot higher cost. So what does that mean? Retention becomes not even nice to have. Let's test and see.
Very important.
If you paid so much to acquire that customer through those ads, you must have retention in place. Now, where is the sector? So how do we keep up that? Okay, so as I said, to acquire, whether through discounting, whether through new product launches, it's not that difficult. It's expensive, but not difficult, because we are lucky here that smartphone penetration is 200%. So pretty much even the lowest of the lowest skilled laborers have a smartphone, and they are actually quite, on it. So we don't need to go through this. Oh, will they buy online? Will they this? No. Like if you put it in front of them, the chances are they will buy. So acquisition is not as challenging as maybe somewhere else in the world, but retention is twice as hard, because if the way they came onto you so easily, they switch you also very easily. And every single day there is a new competition coming up. Now I'm not doing much sales, right, for this region. You're like, oh, if I wanted to enter, now finished. No, because over here, consumers spend a lot more. So the effort you put in, if you manage to maintain it, if in Europe you would work really hard for that 20 euros sale, 50 euro sale, here, you would make 100, 200 per order, right? The spending power of consumers are also higher. So if you manage to keep them, and, as I say, you don't mess up on delivery, customer service and all, the retention happens through WhatsApp, where things go wrong. So let's say you sorted out meta strategy, you sorted out WhatsApp strategy. Where things go wrong? Brands, especially global brands, start thinking how to save money here. When they start thinking to save, they switch to, let's say, Swedish models. I am minority, the blonde here, okay? I am minority. So if you are like, you putting a white blonde model on some creative, I don't know, drinking your tea in grocery, it's not really resonates with the consumers. So you as an owner, whether you're e-commerce manager, owner, you really need to acknowledge the fact that we want to relate. And relate can be, is Arabic mandatory? No, it's not. It's not if you don't mess up on customer service. However, if it all goes wrong, and consumer then starts demanding everything from Arabic to this, to this, to that. So language in the UAE is not. In Saudi is a must. You start actually Arabic first. In UAE, you don't need it. But influencers that you work with, they don't need a famous influencer from Spain. They want to see maybe not as famous influencer from the UAE. So that's one. Creatives you put on the banners. They cannot have, Lina drinking tea every single, yes, maybe once a month, Lina, you can reuse the creative that you have working in Bogota, or Sweden or London. But it cannot be, because the population here is first Arabs from different parts of the world, Middle East, so like Saudi and all, then, Lebanese, Egyptian, so Arabs. Second is huge Indian population in the Middle East. Third, Filipino, Pakistan. So if you always put Lina on it, it's not going to work. This retention, even if you convince second order, third will not happen. Make sure you relate. So localization, not just from the language perspective, but from everything you do across the channels, right? So that's next. And the final point, when it comes to retention, accept the fact that loyalty is dead. Accept it. Loyalty schemes is no longer new here. Everyone has signups because we in this region don't care about data as much as everywhere else in the world. So we share that. Even if you say, no, I don't agree my phone number to be used, you will still get random calls. What, you as a consumer going to complain? No, ask Mo. Is he complaining? No, we don't. So what I'm trying to say is that data shareability here, we are a lot more like we just look it through whatever. Rather than, in Europe, we would probably go ballistic fines and everything. Here, we don't. So what does that mean? If consumers are okay to share the data, right, we expect you to use it. So don't start throwing, don't start sending, I know it sounds the same in the Western world, but don't start sending me, chilies if I don't eat spicy food. And in this region, this is really critical because in Europe, maybe you don't have that many products or volume of these different country, like region food, when it comes to grocery. But here, probably we sell the same amount of pita bread at the same time as gluten-free bread. You know what I mean? It's like a very wide spectrum. And if you trust the systems to convey the retention for you and make miracles, it's not going to work. You really, as an e-commerce person, really need to dig deeper and try to understand what are we sending to who are we sending it. Because then they will not unsubscribe. In this region, no one unsubscribes, forget it. But we just stop reading it. And we constantly look for the new, where next? Where's the next discount? Who else does the faster delivery? Where? So don't give this customer this sort of expectation. This is a bit generic, but each topic can go deeper and deeper.
Super nice summary. Do you have something to add, Mo, before I give you my takeaways that are very, very insightful, I think?
So just very quickly from my end, like Lina mentioned, it's extremely difficult to maintain loyalty, primarily because if someone is offering you this product, your competitor is offering you something very similar. But the idea is also to understand who is your target market, understand the diversity that comes in the Middle East. Like Lina mentioned, we've got the Arab community, we've got the Indian community, we've got the Filipino community. Each and every single community has different needs, different, something that guides them in a different manner. So the idea is to cater to all of them and, to create that bit of stickiness. So my personal opinion in terms of driving retention is through personalization, understanding, what each of your customers actually like, how you can create that stickiness. Why does someone prefer, let's say, an iPhone versus a Samsung? It's all about maybe the user interface, maybe they're happy with what they have. The idea is obviously just to make it as convenient as most optimal for your clients as possible.
Thanks, Mo. So my main takeaway is loyalty is dead. So this came from both of you, but I think it's a super powerful one. Then in terms of channels as well, it was super shocking to me to hear about WhatsApp, no? Like imagine this in Europe, it would be like super intrusive. I mean, I've never received any WhatsApp from anyone or any retailer saying, hey, we have amazing discounts this week, come and try them out. So that's something that I think it's super insightful, and it's something very specific for that region, maybe also in Asia, but at least in Europe and maybe in the US, we are not saying that. About the personalization, I think the key fact now is how you work the data, no? The data analytics and everything that something that I always hear from the partners here is I want to have everything, no? I want to receive all the raw data. I want to have amazing dashboards, no? So from the companies that are like trying to get this data and in touch with users, no? For example, in our case, from the SaaS part, no? We give them all this data, but I'm completely sure that in most of the cases, they don't even know how to do it, what to do with it. And I think that's key in order to personalize those kind of offers. And also one question that I had from you, Lina, was one of the main strategies that in the other parts of the world, retailers are using is whenever you hear about I'm super loyal to this or this retailer, it's because the own brands, for example, no? So they have a huge assortment of own brands. They have been doing this for I don't know how many years, and they have built this trust between the customers. Not that you can only find this in Lidl, in Aldi, or whatever retailer that is like a leading retailer for the last 25 years in Europe or in the States. Is this something that is completely forgotten in the Middle East? It's about the other things you have been telling us, or is this something as well important for customers?
So I will definitely answer your question. As you were speaking, I just wanted to show you WhatsApp when it comes. It's not just now we're doing WhatsApp. Look at the level. We are now adding the catalog within the message, which you can shop within. This is their Black Friday, like promotions. Then, they can have a copy the code, like on that. This is like one of the UAE non-alcoholic leading marketplaces, so FMCG. See, when they send you Christmas, it's like each product you will shop this product. It's personalized, creative, and guess what? The statistics and I can, you can add videos. You see, like this is a video. So what I'm trying to say, like this is like what you would send, like let's see today, or you see, just to, so it's not just we are doing it. We elevated in the last 12 months, like from nothing to a full-on commerce experience. And imagine the shocking stat: 90% of everyone who receives opens the message, opens. So you send to 190 opened. Imagine. Out of the 90% that opened, 80% of that opened within the first hour. So you can pretty much send it now. So imagine the sales, like like the consulting I do to the brands. I say, we send around 10, 11, we obviously identify that, depending on the brand. Grocery, we mainly send 10 to 11. And then by 2 p.m., we are on the daily target and we are done. We pause the ads, we pause, or we continue growing because we are going after the double the volume. But by 2 p.m., we know if we hit it or not. And by 2 p.m., we can segment second time, third. It's really it really is powerful. Okay, coming now to what you're talking, private label, that sort of concept. So one thing you need to also learn about the Middle East, everything you see on Dubai Bling, it's lies. Okay, it's made for Netflix and whatever else. Okay, reality of it is, we are not obsessed with Chanel's. Yes, people, like any country, you go to Monaco, if they have cash, everyone wears Chanel's and all of this. But what the reality is, this population, like people that live in the Middle East, let's take UAE, and I will come to Saudi in a second. This country does not attract people that are not driven. Everyone here, 9 to 5 doesn't exist here. It doesn't. We don't talk about regulation of 9 to 5. And everyone here comes to do, go. So when you have these type of people, everyone, it doesn't just go. They also exercise. They look after themselves. They love healthy eating. What does that lead to? Is that demand from the consumer when it comes to grocery. We are paying probably double what normally the bread would cost in London, but we expect very high quality. So the private label at the moment is associated with, I need cheaper. You know what I mean? It's very different. If you ask me in London, I bought Tesco ham all the time, and Tesco Finest was actually a lot better ham than any other brand can build on a ham. Here, we are still on, I need cheaper. Now, when it comes to showing off, I would not, I go because, I'm just that type of person, but it's not cool to go with cheap water to the gym. The expectation, people they would judge you, but they would be like, okay, she surely can afford Evian or Fiji or, so at the moment, consumer understanding of the product, private label, or let's say, white label, it's associated with cheap. Now, is that going to change? Absolutely. Why? Because one of the most successful, for those of you that sitting here and work or interact with Landmark Group, one of the most successful retailers here that, does everything outside grocery, launched, let's say, Lidl and Aldi copy a couple of years ago. And it's the fastest growing supermarket chain in the region, not just UAE, regionally. So the demand is here. It's just that no one in the famous chains like Carrefour and Spinneys, Waitrose, they haven't cracked the formula of how to position Evian water and Carrefour water on the same shelf and somehow expect sales. No. So but it will happen. It will happen. And at the moment, it's starting from the pricing point. But I am sure at some point they will get smarter in terms of different levels of private labels, but not yet.
Interesting. That was my next question. No? So is there space for discounters? But you already answered it. So I think, the insights on this side are super clear. What worries me a bit, and we will link this with the third topic, is whenever you have those many options and the loyalty is dead, so the risk of someone changing from one brand to the other is very small. The risk is super high. And what I want to deep dive in now is in the operational part, because what the users, I guess, are giving for granted is service should be amazing. So if I want something in 1 hour, it should be delivered on time without missing items, without wrong items. If I need to replace something, I have a super rapid and customized service that someone calling me or asking me through WhatsApp, whatever. So the service that I'm getting beyond, back on the scenes, it should be perfect. Otherwise, next time I do shopping, I'm going to change. So I cannot imagine the difficulty and complexity all those retailers are facing and all the high standards they need to give to their users in terms to retain and take profit of all these super high acquisition costs that they are paying to get users on board. So what would you guys, and as well for you, Mo, would say are the main pain points that they are suffering when we talk about operations? So whenever someone places the order until it gets delivered, we see which are the main pain points they are suffering right now.
So, Damia, I think from my side, earlier I mentioned the topic about how spoiled we are in the Middle East, whereas whenever we want something, we want it immediately. So, everything has to be expressed for us. It's not no scheduled. Even if it's, like I said, 3 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, we want, whenever we place an order online, whether it's groceries, whether it's, takeouts, we want it to come immediately. I think from an operational perspective, what pain points we can experience is, how do I actually manage resources in a way that, I have someone who's always available 24/7? How do I ensure that, the aggregator, the marketplace that I'm currently using at the moment, there'll be someone available to actually deliver my order, whether there'll be someone to actually pick up my order. Because as Lina mentioned earlier, everyone has someone downstairs who they can just go to and just buy from that store. On every block, there's a supermarket, there's a grocery, there's a takeout, there's a cafeteria. So the idea behind the groceries and the retailers is they want to obviously create the most optimal, streamlined process where they have someone always available to cater to the needs of the end users, of the customers themselves. So I think that's the main, or from my personal experience, that would be one of the challenges. I don't know, Lina, do you have anything to maybe support or to counter what I just said?
Just maybe to add on from the operational side, the difference is here, labor is super cheap, okay? Mm-hmm. So when it comes to, that's one of the things that we can't solve every single issue by hiring people.
More people.
Okay? It's very, very different to, where we look in the US to automate, because UK minimum wage, France minimum wage, we don't have minimum wage, okay? So that's why consumer expectation is that how can you not deliver it? Just hire another driver, right? So I would say solving the issue with people is expected. Yes, if you hire in hundreds and you don't, as a leader, optimize it, and that's the issue. Where the hundreds go wrong, we are not very good at training. Okay, we're just not. We're not. We haven't mastered yet the Western way of onboarding people, giving them proper. We kind of teach them on the job, and I'm generalizing it, but if in, I don't know, Barcelona, you would have a month of training, here you would have 2 days and off you go, you are delivering, right? So what does that mean is that as a leader, as a senior people that most of you probably hear on the call, you are constantly battling that, not how much these people are costing you, but what can go wrong because they just have no clue what to do. Do you know what I mean? So that's why when it comes to the technology, automation, process optimization, is not always to save money, but it's more to remove the decision making, So it's kind of like, it's okay to have like robotics warehouses. Do we need them? No, we don't, because, we still need humans. It's working. But how do I make sure that when they pick, they make least amount of mistakes? How do I make sure when there is a substitution that they don't substitute Evian water with Carrefour water, right? Like how? And that's where the technology and that comes in. So that's one angle that, that kind of. Now the second angle, maybe more from the commercial side, what you just asked, is that how do I make sure that I don't go bankrupt within one day? You can't. You have to first of all accept the fact that IP means nothing here. It's like China. How many of you have a copycat in China? Probably all of you on this call. What are you doing about it? Going against China? No, you're not. No, you're not. So if your business model is built to fighting copycats, don't enter Middle East. Forget it. Like, idea out of the window. you have to operate in the markets where copycats get some defense, so like European Union protects, so not everyone can import goods into EU. I don't know, like maybe South America has some union that, like brings it. In the Middle East, even if it's a copycat, if it's a good product, it will be in, okay? So what does that mean? If you are just worried about copycats, it's not the right market for you. You need to focus on staying one step ahead of the copycats. It's hard. It's easier said than done. So how do you stay one step ahead? It's by first thinking, how do you going to conquer Saudi? From trying in the Middle East, you need to set up the data. Not that this data is going to teach you anything about UAE, but you are going to learn faster how to conquer Saudi using the data from the Middle East. When you conquer Saudi, your next topic is, how do I enter India? How do I succeed in India when I have so many Indian consumers from UAE, Saudi, and everywhere else? Do I understand anything about Indian consumer behavior? Do I? If answer is no, continue doing business here till you don't just jump, right? So you need to think, how do you expand the reach, okay? Like as fast as possible, because it's a lot easier to maneuver here than anywhere else. Second thing, you need to think of how do you launch a new products that go as viral as everything else. So here is still relationship. We are still developing. For those of you that coming from developing countries, you all, I bet, got your first job because you knew somebody. You got the first deal on distribution because you knew somebody. It wasn't because you just, oh, Kim Kardashian traded my product. It doesn't happen. And this is what is exactly like here. If in London, you would have to submit, I don't know, million contracts to go through, I don't know, hoops and hops. Here, if it's a great product, you will find a way. But you need to network. You need to put yourself out there. In retail, you need to become the influencer yourself. If there is no influencers, you have to be proud of the product you represent. Because here we are still very relationship based. Okay, yeah. We want to know who is behind the brand. Look at all of you around the world. I bet all of you heard about Dubai pistachio chocolate. I bet all of you already, because everyone that comes to visit me, the only thing they want to buy is this bloody pistachio chocolate, And so we managed to do all these things because we show real people behind real brands. We deal with problems like you would deal with your neighbor. We don't just call automated AI, talk to AI, no one knows anything. No, we are really, really relationship building. And the brands that succeed is every single one of them can name you by the name, knows who you are. Even if that means that we don't have technology, we hire thousands customer service employees to manage that. But we are acknowledging that if you stay close to the customer, even if the retailers don't share data and all of this, look, we're struggling with the same things as you struggle over there. We still find a way. Maybe they will share data through Instagram. Maybe we'll build that WhatsApp. Maybe we add the QR codes on our packaging. We are very entrepreneurial. And it's because we want to know you by your name. And when we know, you as Mo also want to tell me if something went wrong, not because you just fancy a free discount and complain, but because you care about me as a brand. And it's really, really like still developing concept where we're really close to each other. And because the data maybe is not so strictly monitored yet. I hope it's helpful.
Super, super, super helpful. It's key what you said lastly, because was one of my last questions, that was how important it is to be there, to be present, to shake hands, to know the people, because on our experience, and at least on my experience, I've never been able to close any deal without flying there. And knowing the people and visiting the stores and touching the tools and training people on site and letting them know how to use it. The importance of being present somewhere, I think that in the Middle East is most important than in many other regions. And about what you said first, I completely agree. So I think that the fact of hiring more people is not a big deal in many of those countries. The thing is how you orchestrate those people, and the need of the right tech to do so is the most important thing. No, so limiting the interaction that and the resources employee pickers are having with final users, minimizing the risk of having and doing any mistake within the order. That's key. No, that's something key. And then, at least in my opinion, and correct me if I'm wrong, Lina, if there's good tech enough to invest in, there are enough budgets coming from those kind of companies, so they are willing to invest on improving the UX. No, so they are very cost driven. Obviously, they are very good negotiators in every sense.
Leading in the world for sure.
Exactly, they are leading in terms of negotiators. That's for sure. And we are not going to talk about personal experiences, but whenever they see the value on the tool, they are willing to invest. And this is something that I
and
think
we never
should...
change. We never change if we see the value.
Exactly.
You know, like loyalty is dead, but if if any of you are vendors, sorry, I interrupted you, but if any of you here on this call are vendors, remember one thing: if you just sell the tech and disappear, you will be replaced the minute your contract finished. Okay? Yeah. But if you are there suffering with them, they will treat you like a family. And you would be invited not just to the calls, you would be invited to the weddings, to the kids' parties, to everything. And you'll be like, how do I end up here now? And I tell you, I still have clients from the UK that sends me 15 years later a bottle of champagne for my birthday because they appreciated my work. But I never got invited to their weddings. Here, I make, let's say, a couple of things, and then they call me even when they hire a secretary. So, even if it's nothing to do with e-commerce, and it's kind of like you really enter the family circle, and sometimes you're like, I'm sorry, where's my scope? It's kind of like we're very close. It's hard to get in, but once you're in a circle, you need to feel their pain, because everyone here is trying as best as they could. We are all here, apart from the Emirati population, are expats. We are not here on the passports. We can never get a passport. So we are here from until. It's not like like in the UK, I call it home, because I spent probably longer than I lived in Lithuania. And it's like, I would call London, UK is my home. While here, despite me living here, like probably longer even than in Lithuania, I'm never gonna be here home. So you need to feel their pain. If you need to educate them, educate them. They haven't seen, they haven't learned that, what works in Walmart, US, because they never had an opportunity to work for Walmart, because maybe the passport, like guys in my team, they end up working for me because they're like, I am willing to take they say to me, I'm okay on a lower salary because I want to get that Western experience from you, because I have a Egyptian passport, America is not like, oh, come on, Europe, please come in, like get the agency experience. They can't. And that's the unfortunate reality. So really support them, because you are all trying your best, not just from sales perspective. Everyone in e-commerce here also trying their best. They're not trying to be like picky just for no reason. Maybe they don't understand.
I would say they are super hard workers. They are very hard working. Yeah. So if you compare them against other regions, they work endless hours. So I receive WhatsApps every single weekend. And so it's like they are there. So if they feel you are there with them, if they feel supported, I think it's one of the only regions in the world where you can, even with the worst tech, you can win a deal if you give enough support and they feel and they can trust on you, because you're going to be there for whatever reason and whatever need they have. And this is something really, really important in that region.
100% correct. 100%.
Cool, guys. So we are running out of time. I would love the audience to share some questions, but before sharing them, I would love to wrap up everything in just 1.5 minutes, because I think we have very, very, very important insights. So first of all, based on the answers from Mo and Lina, I would say in terms of context, so the UAE is the starting point from the region. I think Saudi is the main goal, to conquer Saudi, because of course, getting enough volume to succeed. Loyalty is that. So in terms from a user perspective, the users are not super loyal to a brand. They are loyal to discounts. They are loyal to be creative in the way we contact them, and we offer personalized promotions. So the way you treat the data as a retailer is super important, and the way you communicate towards your customers with new and creative channels as WhatsApp, which is something super new and shocking that we are not seeing anywhere else. In terms of loyalty, just a brief point here. In terms of own brands and private labels, it's something that is already getting started. No, so there are some brands trying to replicate other models that are like succeeding in other parts of the world, that can be something super relevant in the next few years. In terms of operations, of course, they have enough power to hire people if needed, but the way that they orchestrate these people to give a super premium service to the users is the key. No, so the way they orchestrate the people for doing the picking, doing the delivery to in every part of the chain is one of the key. Also, the support that we give them, it's super important, not only whenever they have problems and needs, but to be proactively asking if everything is okay, flying there, shaking hands, being face-to-face, having face-to-face meetings with them. It's super important within the region. And I think more or less that would be the main messages that we take out from the conversations. So if now anyone has a question, please team share it within the slide so we can give the word to Lina and Mo to answer them. Okay, first question for Lina. For retailers aiming to grow their e-grocery operation, what kind of technological support or partnerships are essential to achieve scalability? More or less we answered it. No?
Okay, yeah, so number one, in terms of tech, picking, and look, this is nothing to do about Instaleap, to be honest. It's more about that picking app here. It's still a concept that no one gets it. They realize when they scale the operations to the point and like, we started with Magento, is order management not going to do it? So picking app is where everyone at the moment is really heavily investing, because they're trying to aim for speed and less mistakes. And because stock is still, we are all on all the ERPs and all of it. So if we cannot handle substitution, it's becoming more and more challenging, because consumers really demanding that, how come you didn't deliver half of my order? Okay, so that's one. And that's a key reason why they switch to the quick commerce. That's a key reason why they're going through Deliveroo, Moon Food, because they're saying, I don't trust the retailer or e-grocer to deliver what I ordered. Okay, so that's one. Like when it comes from the operational side, picking up is becoming quite critical, because they want to start analyzing pickers' performance, substitution levels, and that will go, even demand will go up. Okay, that's one. Second thing, what's really becoming critical is for the e-grocer is the whole having an app. Okay, it's hard to get them to download. It's hard to get them, but because media cost on acquisition is going up and up and up, we have to rely on the notifications. Okay, so what also when it comes to scalability, if you are managing CRM, like let's say you didn't have CRM, but you are doing Klaviyo on one side or MailChimp on one side, notifications were coming out of your e-commerce platform, WhatsApp was doing another platform. It's becoming quite critical that all of them costs are adding up, and at scale, it's becoming not sustainable. So when you start looking at the bottom line, you're like, okay, I spent $1,000 there, $1,000 there, and it's like it's eating into your margin. So what now everyone is like really rethinking it is that how do I build cross-channel retention strategies in terms of if they got the WhatsApp notification, why am I sending them an email? Maybe I don't need to send it. If they open if they have the app and they open the WhatsApp, the notification, maybe I don't need to send the WhatsApp, so cross think and you call it CRM, but more like integrate. Not every CRM has a WhatsApp support. So we're really heading towards consumer in the middle, and how do I spend less money through the retention channels on that same consumer at scale? I'm not talking if you're making like 10 orders a day. 10 orders, you can manage it. But when it comes to scale, you really need to understand that where are they interacting? And that's the second that is everyone looking. And the third, which is growing demand. If you are eGrocer with any exclusive distribution rights in the region, right? You must put you must act not just as a seller, but also as a distributor. So you must put, let's say, I don't know, I don't have anything. Let's say these airport cases is that you are selling it as as an exclusive vendor. You have to put that on marketplaces, okay? Because to maintain that distribution agreement, you have to integrate not on your just .com, but you have to sell it on all the marketplaces, because that's where the volume comes. So you will maintain the distribution agreement. What mistake a lot of e-grocers or D2C brands make, they bring something in and they're so stubborn, which is, look, I consult in it, and if I could sell you all on D2C, I would. I love it. But volume still comes at Moon is unfortunately sick. The fact that Alibaba is big deal, Deliveroo is big deal, Amazon is big deal. So you have to position it, and the technology that helps you monitor stock across all the multiple sales points is becoming critical. And I can elaborate more on POS and everything, but this is, let's say, to start with.
Thanks, Lina. I don't know if there are some other questions. Yes, I think could be the last one. What, in your opinion, is the most challenging part in the cross-communication between last-mile providers and retailers?
That first thing, retailer thinks that last-mile partner loves their brand as much as retailer themselves. So get that out of your head. You cannot. Yes, you can put fines. What are you gonna do without them? So instead of complaining it, and like Jamila, I know what's the situation and all, but instead of complaining, start thinking what you as a retailer can do to keep them in your as your last mile vendor, like provider, but also not to keep having the same issues. So unfortunately, last mile provider is in shortage in the region, okay? They call the shots. Okay? So as they call the shots, you cannot just go wrong, mistake, all wrong, stop calling, stop ringing, they will still do it. You as a retailer should say, okay, what can I do from my side? Should I retrain them? Should I get my own guy in the car? The answer will be no. Should I understand why they got there? Should I as a retailer inform the customer that this is going to go wrong? Should I tell that they will be late? What can I as a retailer do? Last mile is not going to solve it, because they genuinely do not care about you. Even if they tell you, they do, because they have worked up to here, okay? And that's the issue. Don't expect them to build you a retention. You as a retailer need to be thinking how to solve from your side reoccurring issues on the last mile delivery partner side. Brutal, but true.
Tough but true, exactly. Cool. So I think we are out of time. I don't see any other question, so I think we can leave it here. We have been recording the session, so we will have the recording and we can share it. But first of all, let me thank the audience for coming today, and of course, thanks Mo and thanks Lina for the insights and the experience you have. Lina, amazing experience. I feel like we could have been talking for 6 hours, and for sure endless topics to be touched, but I think as a first webinar is amazing. Hopefully we can have many more like this. But yeah, it's an honor to receive all these insights and learnings from your side, from many years of experience in the region. So thank you very much, everyone. Hope to see you again. And if you have anything you want to share with us, you can do it through LinkedIn. You can contact us. You can join Lina's podcast, or you can, of course, you should buy the book. And if you have any other insight, conclusion, adopt, whatever you want, please feel free to reach out to any of us. Thank you, everyone. and see you soon. Have a
Thank
good
you.
day.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you, Damia. Thank you, Lina.